Hello, everyone. Welcome at Your World or Mine. Show me yours and I'll show you mine. And today we have Mary of the Roses, all the way from Costa Rica. For those on my planet, because remember, I'm an alien, the first time that I'm visiting Earth. And in my understanding currently, Costa Rica is like Central America. So it's like holding North and South America together. That's kind of cool from where I come from, to have that kind of concept. So welcome, Mary of the Roses, Rosemary, to our visit here today. And I'm really excited because this planet of yours is quite interesting. There's very interesting beings there, all sorts, and big diversity. And my people on my side, from our perspective, we want to learn more about your planet, but also more personally, your personal experience of the world, life, about you being in this world. So tell me, what is your world about?
Ooh, it's so beautiful to see you and to be with you and to look at you. And I would like to welcome you from my heart. Welcome. My world is, yes, as you've already said, dear Hannelie, it's Central America. It's the center. It's the center of North America, where intellectual reigns. And below, South America, where it's passion and fire. And I and we and you, welcome. We are in the center, the heart of the Americas. Our environment, as you can see out the window, is green, very green. So many shades of green. I trust that your beautiful eyes will be able to take it all in.
I sense it.
And our sky is the color that you see around me. Beautiful blue, as is the water. Oh, our most precious element, the water. So welcome. I hope you not only see, but feel the love we have for you here. How may I serve you?
In this moment, all my cells starts to tingle. And I just look at you, that color that you're wearing, is it called pink?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
My blouse here is pink.
So you were speaking about the center. So for me, it was, we heard the word love. And from our perspective, love is not just this romantic thing between two people. It's for us, if I love you, is that I honor all of that you can ever be and that you are already. So it's accepting that and also honoring that and celebrating that. For us, that's love, from where I come from. And that color that you're wearing, reminds me of that feeling, because where we come from, we've got like trillion sensors inside of ourselves. So we sense and we feel. And when you spoke about this intellectual thing of North America, am I correct? And South America being the passion, you were speaking actually our language. You know, it's like somehow you're speaking our language, although we live on different planets. So that's quite interesting, because we would refer to that as the language of energy.
Wonderful. I absolutely love our connection, because yes, the color pink, and also in my world, many times signifies love, not only romantic love, but love in general, this energy of connection, this energy of all that is good and all that is noble, love. So when I hear you explain to me about your concept of love, it's very, very similar. And what I would like to share from my personal experience is how do I say this? The blossoming of love. It expands. It starts, perhaps we can use a seed, a sunflower seed. And it's a small, somewhat round piece of natural material. And when one plants it in the earth and tends to it, nurtures it, waters it, gives it sunshine, gives it attention. Hello, dear sunflower. It begins to grow and blossom. And when it blossoms, what happens? It not only has physical beauty, it has the beauty of being able to spread itself, the love, by the seeds that it puts on its beautiful cap. I don't know if you've ever seen one of our sunflowers. Would you like to look at an example?
Yes, please, I would love to.
Okay, let's see if I can do this without disconnecting from you. Here we go.
Because we want to show
This.
our people what it looks like. Oh, that's beautiful.
Can you see? Yeah.
Yes, so I can see. I can
Yes.
see.
So the sunflower, after it's been receiving what it needs, which is lots of love and care, blossoms into this beautiful, beautiful flower. And the visual beauty is really unique. There's no
Wow.
other flower like it. And the size of it is quite big. And as I mentioned, in the center where you see the darkness, those are actually going to turn into many, many, many beautiful seeds in a geometric pattern that is so sacred. It's based on what we call sacred geometry. And I can tell you about sacred geometry. Do you have that on your planet too?
Perhaps we have something similar, but I don't think we call it sacred geometry. What is sacred geometry?
Sacred geometry is, in very simple terms, it is the pattern of life. There is a pattern of the beginning of life. For example, a human, I'm a human, hello, hello, hello. I started with 8 basic cells. Cells are small, tiny, alive pieces of matter, material, that have so much inside of them. They are encoded. And when 8 of these cells came together from a male and a female, in this case, my mother and my father, I began life as 8 cells. And the sacred geometry tied to that is then those cells begin to multiply. And they multiply in a pattern that can be replicated. Well, a human has its own genetic pattern, as the sunflower has its, but the similarities between the pattern of the growth of the life is very, very similar. We're all alive. We all are on our earth here. That is our mother, gives us what we need. And what else can I say about sacred geometry? It's sacred because it comes from the unknown, the mystery of our life. And life is, in many respects, even though I can explain to you what my life is about, what the sunflower is about, the real mystery of life is just that. It's unknown. And that's what makes it sacred.
Wow. You see, for us, when you speak about a pattern, so I'm trying to make an association from where I come from. And what really emerges for me is, we also have this pattern idea that you're speaking about. But and for us, we invoke the infinite with that. So it's a continuous loop.
Yes.
And it grows and expands and it actually explodes in all directions. So it's when you speak about that seed that you plant and then you nurture and nourish it, it's the same type of process. And then suddenly, boom, it becomes something else actually. It transforms. It becomes bigger, if you want to say bigger, more expansive. And that process goes on into infinity in such a way that I can now communicate with you like this. That's also a pattern.
Yes.
And that you can actually understand me and I can understand you.
And to me, that's the beauty of life. You, from another time and space, and me, we can communicate because of the patterns that repeat and expand. Yes, beautiful.
And you know what? It was just beautiful when you were speaking about that sunflower. And what I had this feeling that I'm now a sunflower, but it seems like, and you must correct me if I'm not right there in my perception of it, is that a sunflower grows towards the sun, towards the heat, that face, because it almost looks like a face to me.
It does, doesn't it?
It turns its head to the sun all the time.
Yes.
So if the sun moves,
Yes.
it will most probably, although you might not perceive it necessarily, but it goes with where the warmth, the sun. For us, that sun that you're speaking about is nourishment. You know, it's making you feel warm inside, and it's this really good feeling for us because we're such feeling beings where I come from.
But well, I understand you, and our sun too. And you're right. I can visualize the sunflower lifting its beautiful face towards our sun, which is the source of the energy that allows the sunflower to grow. It not only needs the water, an essential element on this planet, but it needs the energy of the sun in order for it to transform from the seed into the beautiful flower and then producing its own seeds. So the sun is a source of energy too for us.
So I'm now curious, I'm really curious. When you talk about that plant and the seed, is a human being the same? That whole process of growing and blossoming, and what is a human being similar?
A human being is similar, and there we go with our patterns again. A human being, it starts, as I said, with the 8 cells. A sunflower starts with a seed, let's say. So the beginning of each appears visually very different. And yet the process of growth, evolution, and transformation that happens through that growth and evolution makes each one a unique, special type of life. But the similarity is both need energy, both need attention, and both need nurturing. And that really brings me back to love, because in many cases, love is the energy that nurtures and sustains not only the plants, the animals, but us as human beings. So yes, we are very similar. Plants communicate too. Did you know that?
No.
Yes, plants communicate, and they communicate not only amongst themselves, as do trees, by the way. When I talk about plants, I'm not just talking about beautiful flowers. I'm talking about ferns. I'm talking about bushes. I'm talking about the beautiful trees that we have on our planet. And they communicate with each other, and they also have the capacity to communicate with us if we as human beings respect and are open to them. They've done experiments on our planet where, for example, in a classroom of students, of children, they've put 2 identical plants in 2 separate pots in different parts of the school. And the experiment was that each day the children would come to the plant, and one of the plants would receive from the children what we call bullying. Bullying is calling names, degrading people, saying they're not good enough, and really demeaning the presence of the spirit within that plant. And so every day the students were asked to say ugly things to the plant. On the other hand, the other plant also every day had students come to it, and they were asked to send to that plant words of encouragement, words of love, words of joy, words of peace. And so that plant was receiving that kind of energy. Both were receiving the energy, different, of course, from the children. And after a while, if one could stop the experiment and view both of the plants. Remember, they were the same plant. And by the way, throughout the experiment, they received the same water and the same sunlight. But the results of this experiment showed that the plant that was demeaned and bullied was really, I'm going to say shriveled. Shriveled? Do you know the word shriveled? It was not thriving. It looked very sickly and very depressed and kind of limped over. Whereas on the other hand, do you know what I'm going to say, don't you? Yes, of course, because you sense it, you feel it. The plant that had received the positive energy, the high vibrations of love and encouragement and joy, that plant was open and thriving. The leaves were shiny and bright, and the appearance of the one plant compared to the other was so stark, the difference in looking at the plant, that it really proved to me and to many others that plants communicate. And in this case, the humans communicating to the plants.
So is it what you call interspecies communication then?
Interspecies communication, yes, yes.
But you know, it's interesting what happened to me as an alien while you were speaking about this. When you were speaking about, I think it's bullying, you say? You said?
Bullying.
Yes. Yeah, I felt, I was cringing inside. And it took some time for me. You were already speaking about the other plant and the beautiful things it received, but it took my body a while to adjust to that. Although I heard it, so through my senses, my hearing sense, and the vibration that you were sharing, I was picking up on that on my side. But it's as if my body, it was so, that feeling of contraction was so strong that to come out of it was not a quick thing. You know, it seems like if that damage is done to even a human, then same thing, it takes a while to recuperate from that. Does that happen to humans as well? That when you speak badly to a human, or that you bully them or treat them badly, that does the same thing happen to them?
Yes, it's very similar, and it's very interesting to hear your reaction being so similar to that of us as humans. Yes, because the energy of the bullying, of the treating badly, the disrespecting of one being, whether it be a human being or a plant, definitely affects that being. And we have something called the survival mode, which if the plant is being bullied, it wants to shut down because it wants to protect itself. Protection is of utmost importance. It's the primordial instinct of that plant as well as humans. So shutting down, closing off. You even see my body language, closing. And as you were explaining it, I saw yours as well. It's shutting down and protecting the vitals. Yes. Whereas on the other hand, the plant that thrived, receiving the positive energy, the uplifting vibrations of energy, actually could then thrive with that kind of attention. So did I answer your question? I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, you definitely did. And as you were sharing that so beautifully, my mind got stuck, my attention got stuck on vitals. What is vitals?
Vitals, okay. Vitals are, okay, inside of my human body, much like, again, the plant, but I'm going to leave the plant at peace for a moment and just talk about humans. My vitals are my organs that are essential for life. For example, I have lungs. I have these beautiful lungs, or they're sacs, which hold air, though that would be considered a vital organ. Why is it vital? Because I need it for life. It's part of what allows me to live on this planet with this environment. The other vital is the heart. Once again, the pumping of the heart pumps my blood throughout my body so that I can move and have energy, etc. So vitals are the most essential elements for life. And they can come in the form of organs, like inside the body. They can come into what I have to ingest into my body. For example, water is vital for my body. My body, much like other humans, is between 65 and 85% water. So it's vital for me to intake water every single day. Yeah, and the interesting thing that's coming to me as I'm talking to you about this is how, once again, we as human beings are so similar to the earth, the planet, and I'm talking about the earth that we live on, because the earth itself as an entity, as a unit of life, breathes, has water, has movement, very many characteristics that are similar to mine. And I'll just leave this train of thought with the water. The earth itself has the same composition of water, between 65 and 85% water, much like my human. So there we go again with that patterning, duplicating and replicating, even though the form is different, unique and beautiful. The patterning is very, very similar.
I'm very curious. As you were sharing about the water in the body, the water on earth, and you were sharing about the previous part we spoke about this bullying, and then the positive, loving, nurturing communication that was with that plant. I see some link here. It seems to me that if you have a body of water and you treat it with that same thing we did with the plant, the two parts, so one would be, the water would become almost like muddy, you know, because not necessarily from a physical point of view, but its essence, its composition would change. Then when you actually treat it with respect and love and care. But I want to bring it back to the human, because I heard humans have this thing called emotion. And for us, where I come from, for us, an emotion and a feeling is two different things. For us, an emotion is how you express yourself, you know, anger, frustration. For us, that's type of emotions, pain, that's type of emotional expressions of what we experience. But for us, a feeling is different. For us, a feeling is, it's a state of being rather than an emotion, because for us, we are not our emotions. It's just something we experience. It's separate. Yes. It's like this girl that I've got here. She could be one of my emotions, like joy, creativity, whatever it is. Although we don't say joy is an emotion, it's a state of being with us, but say she's happy. But she's not me. So it's something that I experience, and maybe then somebody comes to bully me, and then I'll feel very afraid, fear. But I'm not the fear myself. But what I pick up when you speak about this, for us the feeling is this cringing in, for example, being expansive, feeling glowing, you just glow, the blossoming you were speaking about earlier. That for us, and the pure joy coming from within you, regardless of what's happening around you, that for us is a feeling more than an emotion. But I want to ask you something very interesting, because it really, I'm curious about it. Is it just makes sense for me that if a human is abused like that, like bad talking to them, bullying, whatever it might be, especially for the ones who came more recently, and the ones who then came who's here much longer, if they do that to them, for example, it will store in the body some emotions like fear, or anger or frustration or resentment or bitterness. Am I correct? So it's like the
Yes,
water.
you are.
So it's like the water inside the body. Then it's like getting muddy. Not really like in a physical
Yes.
sense, but it's not. It's not pure like it can be. Am I correct?
Yes. Yes, you are. Yes, because since the human body, like the earth, and the bodies of water on earth, store the feelings of anger or bliss, take your choice, the expression of that, was that your question? The expression, no, does it stay with the body, was your question.
Mm.
And the answer is yes. And what I've noticed in my lifetime is, let's say, the little ones that come in, and if their surroundings while they're growing up, while they're developing, is an environment of bullying, of perhaps physical violence as well as emotional violence, that truly affects their cells and the way they are in the world. It may show itself in the world as more violence. You know, we have a phrase, hurt people hurt. So if someone has been hurt physically, emotionally, psychologically as a small being, then the natural tendency would be to strike out and hurt others. Whereas on the other hand, if that being is raised in an environment of love and thriving and vibrations of joy and peace and harmony, that being absorbs that energy into one's cells and goes out into the world. And that's the vibrational level that that person then emits and shares with the rest of the beings and the planet itself. So absolutely, the way someone is treated does not just pass in the moment. It definitely is retained. And it is unfortunate that many human beings who are now adults, because we have stages of human development, they carry that heaviness, they carry that pain with them into their adult world. And it's for me very sad, because it's very limiting. It would be like the sunflower having a black plastic cover put over it. It couldn't reach out and be with the sun that gives it what it really needs of nurturing. It becomes in the dark. It stays in the dark. And so it's something to be very aware of for not only parents and teachers, but even children themselves, because just as I explained about the plant, the way they treated that plant had an effect on it. And children are so wise these days when they come in. They get it. They understand that who they are being in the moment does affect not only themselves, but everything around them. And that is one of the essential lessons, if I may, that I would like to leave you with. Although it seems like on your space, your planet, since you are feeling beings, my sense is that you sense when you're out of alignment and might be, maybe without intention, hurting someone. It's more of a sensing than a witnessing of how someone's reacting to you. So yeah, it definitely is a piece of humanness that I feel as a species we can work on, and we can do it by helping each other, and you know, by connecting with you. You help me see your world in a new light, and by exchanging and connecting, what we know about ourselves and our worlds, I believe we increase the energy and the vibration of the energy all over the universe. And that is for me a very humbling and a very powerful place to come from.
As I sense into what you're saying, I feel life, your life in my body here where I am. And I don't even want to call it hope. I think it's a word that humans use. It's not even hope. It's an inner knowing on some level that where your world is currently, in this time and space where it's currently experienced, in the now, that there's enough information for people to transform themselves and to evolve, because before perhaps there was not that much information yet, but it seems like also when we're speaking about the patterns, technology is a pattern, isn't it? That allows people now to become aware of more things than in the past. It was more, things were hidden, that was not revealed necessarily. So now everything's open. So that makes me excited, because I think if I have to speak to my people and explain to them what you just shared with me, it would be common sense for them to want to, if they are a parent, bring a little one into the world, that want to give their children that life, because it's common sense. You don't.
Yes.
But I think from our perspective, what we see when you speak about is that people did the best they could at a specific time. But you used the word evolution before as well, and we use that word where we live as well. It's like we're evolving, we're transmuting, where this wounded parts of ourselves becomes less and less and less, because it seems like when we act out of that wounded parts is when we really hurt others. And sometimes it's not necessarily intentionally, but it's a reactive thing. Because you said about this protection thing, and some people in our experience becomes combative or protective, and they go and hide, and they build this wall around themselves that others can't get to their true hearts. And some others they react outwards, so they're reactive, they go outwards and they become perhaps a little bit aggressive. But I think it seems like, if I feel into the energy, that Earth is going through, and your world is going through, some transformation. Am I correct?
Yes, you're very correct. We as a species are going through a major transformation. And as you mentioned, technology has been a big assist to speed the process along. With so much information available, it makes it even more unacceptable to me that the lower vibrations are constantly being reinforced in media, and in how people act with other people. And at the same time, the technology, as you said, opens us up to different ideas from different parts of our world. For example, I would like to bring this up about acting negatively, back to the word bullying, or treating other beings with disrespect and oftentimes with violence. There is a native tribe, not here in Costa Rica, I think it's in Africa. I'll just give you kind of the surface of what I understand. Where before the child even comes into birth, before the child comes into the planet, the mother of the child has a task, and that is to find the name for the child. And she consults with the elders, she consults with nature, she consults with herself, and she comes up with the name for the child. And so when the child comes in, it already has a name. It already has an essence that is recognized by not only the mother, but the tribe in which it will live. And so it grows up having this identity, this essence. And if the child in its development goes off track, in this particular culture, there's not a word for punishment. If this child begins to act out of alignment with what is acceptable in this particular culture, they have a ceremony where they bring the child in a center, and the whole tribe forms a circle around the child. And they remind the child, because I forgot something, the mother also has a song. That child has a song when it comes in. And when they put the child in the middle, everyone around begins to sing that child's song to him or her. And so if we just pause for a moment and feel into what that might feel like for that child, I can imagine feeling before the circle loved, as I was growing up, and I have a song, so I have an identity of who my tribe looks as me to be. And if I get off track for whatever reason, I can imagine I might feel very badly, guilty, shameful. Words in my culture, I don't think they exist in the other one, the tribe, but I'm not sure. And then this feeling of being in the center of the circle, surrounded by those who have sung my song from the day I arrived on earth, and how soothing that would be for me, how I would feel very much loved and massaged back into alignment with who I really am. And I find that to be such a beautiful system of correcting. And it's one that, again, this is a practice of an indigenous tribe, of which we still have several on our planet. However, Western culture or modern culture, unfortunately, does not operate in that manner. So I will just finish by saying the good news is that technology allows us to reconnect with what, as I said earlier in this conversation, what is true, what is noble, what is right, and what is love. And so if one can simply just open up one's computer on one's phone, and through your word of curiosity, be curious, I believe that we are in the midst of a transformation that will be moved forward more quickly by technology.
I'm so appreciative and happy that you spoke about that tribe, because we have a tribe here as well. They do something very similar. It's called the Ubuntu tribe. And the fascinating part of it is I myself, not as part of that tribe, I'm not part of that tribe, went through a very interesting experience more than a decade ago, where my words, it was not my name, but my words that I had to bring into the world came through me. And when I spoke those words out loud, something happened to my body. But then there was the song played for me as well. And my song was a lullaby. But you will speak for little ones, sing for them. And it's very interesting that on my own path, on my planet, I sometimes deviate. I'm very curious. I'll go and experience something there. And then I realize after time, but I'm not in integrity anymore. I'm not in alignment with who I am. So I come back to my own path. That's all okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But when I just hear that song, it's instantaneously that I'm back on my path.
Mm.
And I bring that wisdom and that joy and that loveliness of that other experience with me. So I'm not saying that's now bad or anything. It enlarges my experience. But it's very similar, and I can now, from my own personal point of view, tell you that I understand what it feels like to be for that song to be played to you, and I can just imagine if your song is sung to you, that what it will do to you, and especially from you were born, so it's part of you. It's not strange to you. That's
Right.
most beautiful. That's most beautiful.
It sounds beautiful. It sounds
But that's
beautiful.
most beautiful. With the name and the song and people singing it to you, because I think it also brings a sense of belonging and understanding, because I think
Yes.
today with all this technology, it seems that a lot of the younger people, the people who came more recently, we refer to them as the ones who came more recently, that they might be misunderstood because they grow up in a very different environment than the ones
Yes.
who came earlier. So there might be, misunderstandings between them, and they might not like feeling might be strange to them because it's hard technology. So these type of rituals make me excited that one can bring it into anything.
Yes, and I'd like to add that when I think about this whole phenomena of being out of alignment and then coming back into alignment from the sound of the song or the name, it truly is another territory on our planet. Sound and the healing properties and the vibration of that sound can bring into one's being as a healing modality. I actually grew up with parents, a mom and a dad, who were not hearing. They were not able to hear. Here we call it deafness. My father was deaf, and my mother was hard of hearing. So she wore a little machine in her ear that allowed her to hear something. And as a result of being born into that family, I realized as I was older what a gift it was to use my other senses and to witness my parents who didn't have all of their senses. We have 5 as humans, no? Taste, touch, smell, sight, and sound. But growing up in that environment and witnessing my parents who were without one, how their other senses became more sharp. For example, my father didn't wear eyeglasses till he was well into his 60s. And, that was really something. And what I realized, it's because he had developed his sense of sight to compensate for his inability to hear. And so the sound of one's name or of one's song, I can absolutely feel what it would feel like to be put back into alignment with that sound. I know it's a cellular memory, perhaps, because if you've come in from birth with those sounds surrounding you, it's within you. It's, again, we're going back to that communication between something outside of this body and what is in this body. So yes, and the sun is coming out. Look behind me. Can you see?
I can see.
Yeah.
I can see the green. I can see the shade of the green is changing because the light is reflecting on it behind you, and then the blue is like a opposite between it. And then your pink and yourself, your own beingness. That's most beautiful. And when you speak about sound, we do something on my planet called toning. So, for example, if somebody is ill, when we say somebody is ill, we mean something is out of balance. That's simply all it is. Something is out of balance. And when somebody's, for example, ill or don't feel well, they just feel off. We don't judge it as they're feeling badly or depressed or heavy-heartedness or anything like that. But when you then, for example, tone, you also, your own voice takes you to a frequency where your whole body, mind system, everything that you are, comes into alignment. And it happens very quickly. It happens extremely quickly. So for us, we do it all the time when we just feel something is not good now. I, for instance, hurt my arm recently, very badly, on one of these visits of mine. And through the toning, the tendons in the arm started growing much quicker back together because they were completely torn. So I couldn't lift my arm up at all for almost 6 weeks. But the toning started to put my body back into alignment on a deeper level. So we can use it we also use it to be creative. So when you sit with people who are stuck in their minds and they can only see within the box, and you play, it's very playful, you start toning together, suddenly the mind opens up completely, and you can be very creative into dreaming up different things and seeing other perspectives, which is very important for us on our planet. Which then also brings me back to what you were saying earlier, is that if this for humanity and this evolution that you're currently going through, this transformation, is that when we can start like this doll, you can now see her face, but now you can see her back, but I can now see her face. But that doesn't mean because I see her face now that that's not there, but that's different from what I see here, but it's the same doll. And I think it seems like I'm feeling into what you're saying, that process is busy happening because technology is one of the tools that helps people now to see different perspectives, to become more experimentational. So they go and experience different things to feel for themselves. And that excites us on our planet because that's some of the stuff that we like. Now, my dear Mary of the Roses, always going back to this plant, it seems like you have a bag of influence. And what we mean by bag of influence is something about you that I have not experienced before when coming to visit your planet. What is that? What is that thing, that bag of influence that you have? Because it seems very interesting, because when you speak, you're very present, what we call present in your body. You speak from a different, you don't speak from here, you speak from a different place. What is it?
Well, I don't know if I can put a description on it. The first word that comes to me is wholeness, being complete and whole. Also, experience. My experience on this planet has been over 6 decades now. I believe that has helped me lay a foundation from which I move out into the world with. And I, again, using the plant, but this time I'm going to go to trees. I oftentimes equate myself to a tree where my feet are firmly planted, mostly barefoot. I love to walk barefoot on our earth. So my feet are firmly planted on our earth. Because the earth, as we started this conversation with plants and the communication, the earth is a living being, and it communicates me and gives me energy through the soles of my feet. I love that word, the soles of my feet. And so that allows me to be grounded. And then I'm going to go all the way up to the top of a tree with the branches extending up into the blue sky. And each of those branches can be equated to different experiences that I have had on this planet. And so it's expansive, outstretching, and outstretching up to the source, which the tree, the source, much like the plant, the source of the tree's energy is the light, is the sun. And I feel that that is my energy as well. And between the branches and the roots is the trunk of the tree, a solid part of the tree that stands upright and is supported by its roots and nurtured by its leaves on its branches. And the parallel between that tree and me, I believe, is the source of who I am. I have to add a very important element, and that is the exchange, the connection between the up above, the air and the sun from up above, and the water from the earth and the soil from the earth, because it's a living system. That tree is a living system, as I am. And I receive, much like in the natural world, the trees, the plants, the animals, I receive my sustenance from Mother Nature, from nature, the natural world. Being here in Costa Rica, it's really a blessing, because 365 days a year, we have green, different shades of green, as I said earlier, many, many different shades of green. And for me to go out, which I
There you're back.
Sorry about that.
No,
I had a call come in.
No problem.
Anyway, to go out into nature and simply be in nature allows me to be in the world who I am. There is so much wisdom to be gained in the silence, communing with nature. For example, studying a ladybug, on a leaf one day, and watching how that ladybug is formed and the beautiful color combination, and when it wants to lift off into the air, how its wings expand. It's truly, truly a magical experience to be a witness to nature. And so I believe I've answered your question, at least from what I feel is the essence that I'm able to share humbly with the world. Thank you.
I can feel it, and we're also very visual, so we have all these visions when people speak, humans speak, and it's very interesting that when you were sharing that beautiful wisdom, is how we would refer to it, is it's light. And I'm not only speaking about light as in, because when you were speaking and sharing, the light was coming from above, from your sunroof above. And suddenly your face lit up as well. But the lightness I'm talking about is this completely sense of lightness, like a feather. Lightness, yes. Like a feather. So it's not heavy knowledge or information. It's like that type of intelligence is light. It makes one want to come alive and want to be there. It's very inviting. I just want now to come and visit that place where you're living in real life.
I hope you do.
That I can experience it too. That greenness, that's something we love. You'll see even my dress is sort of green. So we even color coded there today. And I wonder if we could just take a moment before we say our goodbyes. And I thank you for sharing this space with me today here and for inviting me to your planet like this, so we can share like this. if we could just take a few moments just to be quiet. And you were speaking about that silence, because we believe that's where everything starts being created. It's the creative energy. And just be together for a few moments without necessarily speaking, and just sense into this beautiful scenario that's being co-created here between us. The two planets, the two realities, many overlaps, synergy. And in the silence, I feel a lot of heart energy. And a song from your world comes into my awareness. Moments of peace. So, dear Mary of the Roses, I want to thank you that you so delightfully, in such presence, sharing your experience of your world, of what's happening there, of you. Is there one message that you would like to share with the world, your world, but also with my people?
Yes, there is. And it's very interesting that you used the word peace, because that's what came to me as well. And it ties into a message that I would like to leave. And it is a song. I won't sing the whole thing because it's beautiful, but paz, queremos paz en este mundo. Paz, queremos paz en este mundo. Paz, paz, paz. And the translation is peace. Peace is what we want in this world. Peace. Peace is what we wish in this world. Peace, peace, peace. And I leave you with the saying, may peace be with you. Thank you for coming. Please come back.
Most definitely will.
Namaste.
Thank you. Gracias.
Gracias.
There is, in closure, everyone, I just want to share that what I, from my planet and my reality, sends into and what emerges is what dear Mary of the Roses shared with all of us today and tonight, wherever we are, is that that peace is possible when you experience and have stimulated and developed this sense of wholeness. Because there's nothing else than to prove or to fight or to compete with or to perform. Because in that wholeness, you are in complete alignment with all that is, in harmony with all that is, and that brings a sense of deep, deep peace. So thank you very much, Rosemary, and gracias.
You're welcome. Blessings.
And I say also thank you from my reality and my people on this side. And with your permission, I would like to invite the ones who's came more recently to connect with you if it's possible, and if you feel that it's something that you would like to, that you resonate with in whatever way. So at the end of this podcast, this broadcast, we will share your information that you're willing to share with a larger world. But I feel you have so much wisdom, and it's only your presence by itself alone that brings that sense of peace to others. And I think it's very important from what you shared with me about your world, like the two plant situation, that in that center, you were speaking earlier about the center, it's that centering that you create just by your presence when others are being with you. So that's your affection, so the effect you have on everybody around you. Mm-hmm. So we want to honor that today from our planet as well.
I thank you. Thank you.
And I truly feel that ones who came more recently will be inspired, but also the ones who've been here much longer on your planet, by experiencing this presencing of yourself and how beautiful you shared about your world. And because you brought inner energy now into the bigger space, through into my planet. And so we're very grateful for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Blessings.
Blessings.